Hey, it's Ken here with UAV Coach. Welcome back to our Can I Fly My Drone series. This week we're going to answer the question, can I fly my drone at a car accident? So let's get started. Just a couple facts to get us started. First, sadly, the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, or NHTSA, reports that there were 42,514 deaths from motor vehicle crashes in the United States in 2022. In contrast, there were 358 civil aviation deaths in the United States in 2022. This equates to one fatal accident for every 5.8 million flights flown. This means you have almost 10 times the chance of being dealt a royal flush in a single hand of poker than being in a fatal airplane crash. Part of the reason for this is because the civil aviation industry is regulated by the FAA, whose primary goal is aviation safety. And the aviation industry has historically been good at complying with these regulations. So why do I mention these statistics? Well, first to point out that drivers are distracted enough without adding drones flying above them. How often have you seen a car accident which is then followed by another car accident because of looky-loos not paying attention to their own driving? I think this happens quite a bit. Next is the point that the FAA has implemented Part 107 regulations for drone operations in an effort to ensure safety for vehicles in the air and on the ground. It's our responsibility to follow those regulations. So let's take a look at the regulations that might apply to drone operations around a car accident. As I mentioned, drivers are all distracted enough. And Part 107.23, titled Hazardous Operation, states that no person may operate a small unmanned aircraft system in a careless or reckless manner so as to endanger the life or property of another. This doesn't say don't operate around a car accident, but think about it this way. If someone near an accident, or not even near an accident, is distracted by your drone flying around close to them and they get in an accident, do you think their lawyers might try to come after you? I think they might, and I'd bet money they'll use this regulation to try to prove their point. Another couple regulations that are probably more obvious when it comes to flying a drone near a car accident are 107.39, which is the regulation that prohibits operating a small unmanned aircraft over a human being. We've covered the nuances of this regulation in other videos, and we'll include a link to those below. The other obvious regulation is 107.145, which states no person may operate a small unmanned aircraft over a human being located inside a moving vehicle. Again, there are other factors included in this regulation, but in simple terms, the FAA prohibits operation over people or moving vehicles. At a car accident, there are usually lots of people and moving vehicles. One other less obvious regulation is 107.37, titled Operation Near Aircraft Right-of-Way Rules. This part states each small unmanned aircraft must yield the right-of-way to all aircraft, airborne vehicles, and launch and re-entry vehicles. Yielding the right-of-way means that the small unmanned aircraft must give way to the aircraft or vehicle and may not pass over it or under it or ahead of it unless you're well clear. And that no person may operate a small unmanned aircraft so close to another aircraft as to create a collision hazard. In a serious car accident, often Flight for Life helicopters are flown in to transport an injured person quickly to a hospital or a trauma center. If this happens, it's your responsibility to get out of their way. And if you don't see or hear that helicopter, this can be a real problem. So can you fly your drone near a car accident? Legally, as long as you can comply with these rules, and possibly others depending on the situation, you might be able to fly near the accident. But keep in mind that anytime you fly near moving vehicles and possibly just near people, if you're flying in a way that could be considered careless or reckless, you might still be liable under 107.23 if anything happens. So your pro tip this week is to avoid flying over or near any type of disaster or emergency situation unless you're in contact with the situation commander. Things can change quickly in these situations and they can catch you off guard if you don't know what's happening on the ground. It's always helpful to ask yourself if it's worth what the worst case scenario might be. Let us know in the comments if you have a "Can I fly my drone?" question so that we can cover it in a future video. Also hit the thumbs up button and hit the subscribe and notification buttons to be notified of upcoming content. So thanks for watching, and from all of us here at UAV Coach, we wish you blue skies and safe flying. We'll see you next time.